This morning my friend sent me a post. It was from an Instagram story about a girl who wanted her ex back by any means possible. So she went to one of these witch doctors, you know, the ones wenye wanaandikwa kwa barabara, mganga kutoka. Yeah, she went to one of those witch doctors she saw on like a billboard poster by the road. And this witch doctor told her that if you want your ex back, this is how I'm going to give you the medicine, and the medicine has to be applied on my private parts, and you know how we administer that, you have to be sexually active with me. And this girl, out of desperation, she agreed. She couldn't see any red flags or anything, and that reminded me of a book I read. And in this video, the 4 main things we're going to look at is what desperation does to you, what desperation can do to you, what to do before buying African literature, book reviews. The books I'm going to review briefly, just my opinions, are Stay With Me by Ayobami Adebayo, Nudie Branch by Irenosen Okoje, I think it's Okoje, yes, Irenosen Okoje, and Love in Color by Bolu Babalola. And then we'll also look, just those 3 things. So the post about desperation, where this girl had to sleep, this girl had to trade sex. Mind you, she'd paid for the medicine, she's paid money for the medicine, and this girl has to trade sex with a witch doctor to get her ex back. Reminded me of this book, Stay With Me by Ayobami Adebayo, and what desperation can make you do. In this book, the main female character is called Yejide, and Yejide struggles with getting pregnant. There are parts in this book I need to find. So in this book, we look at pages 46, 53, and 78 because they bring out desperation. So Yejide has been struggling to get pregnant, and anytime she'd have a child, the child would die. Pregnancies were not working out. Nothing was working out for her. And there's a lady called Mrs. Adeolu. She was a pregnant customer. Yejide is a hairdresser, and here it says, when Miss Adeolu, a pregnant customer, told me about the mountain of jaw-dropping victory, I went to Mumi. Mumi is her mother-in-law. That same day to discuss it with her. So she went to her mother-in-law to find out if this is true, if it's credible and all, because, and she said, she was a treasure house of knowledge about such things. So she believed her mother-in-law knew everything when it comes to prayer, superstitions and all, and she will go and talk to her mother-in-law about this. There was a time when I would have ignored Mrs. Adeolu's words, a time when I did not believe in prophets who lived on mountains or priests who worshipped beside rivers. That was before I had so many tests done in the hospital, and every one of them showed that there was nothing preventing me from getting pregnant. Like I said in the beginning, she was struggling with having a child, and later on through the book you see she does have children, but they always die. So before Yejide got desperate, before desperation got into Yejide's life, she knew that some things just don't make sense. It doesn't make sense that you go to a prophet and he prays for you and suddenly you're pregnant. There are many things that come to play for you to help you have a child. That was in page 46. Now in page 53, we're just looking at the end result, part 1, when Yejide actually goes to see this prophet at that mountain. What's the mountain called? Let's see the name of the mountain. What is it? Page 7, just page 77. Mountain of jaw-dropping miracles, and the prophet is called Prophet Josiah. So Yejide was told that she has to come with, I think it was a lamb. She had to come with a lamb, walk up the mountain with it. She had to fast. She had to fast for 11 days or how long, and not drinking water even and going up the mountain. Otherwise, the prayer won't work. So Yejide did that, climbing the mountain, doing all of that, taking the lamb or whatever it is to the prophet, believing that that's the payment for the prayer or whatever it is the prophet would do for her to get pregnant. When she gets to the top of the mountain and meets this prophet, he tells her she has to carry that lamb like it's her own baby and suckle it. Yani breastfeed it. Put it on her breasts and breastfeed it. So let's just read the last part. When Prophet Josiah removed the bundle from my arms, they felt empty. Now you see, she's seeing the lamb as a bundle. Go, he said. Even if no man comes near you this month, you will be pregnant. I'd like to entertain conversations about parthenogenesis in humans, women in particular. But you know that line, even if no man comes near you this month, you will be pregnant. It doesn't make sense, but she's desperate, so anything she's told goes. Then she says, the last paragraph, I hugged his words close to me. They filled my arms and comforted me. I smiled as I walked down the mountain alone. I could still feel the wetness on my breast, and my heart thudded with desperate faith. Do you know what happens after this? She has a phantom pregnancy. The pregnancy lasts more than 11 months. I think it went for 13 months or more. No matter what the doctors told her, no matter what her husband told her, because they hadn't been intimate, there's nothing and all of that, she was like, no, I'm pregnant and you guys are haters, stop calling me crazy and everything. So you see how big the desperation has grown, and how many people, many religious and spiritual institutions, as well as religious and spiritual people, humiliate desperate women. When they really want something, they take advantage of their desperation and put them through humiliation rituals. So in page 77, as the pregnancy approached 11 months, I decided to visit the mountain of jaw-dropping miracles again. This day she went when her husband was not around. And then in page 78, it shows how she climbed the mountain. Everywhere was still and quiet. There was nobody there. And actually, let me read for you a sign that was on the mountain post. Prophet Josiah on travel. Please come back. PLIS. In the next month for your miracle. For FOUR. Miracle MIRACUL. So apparently Prophet Josiah was not there, and she was going back to Prophet Josiah, oh thank you, and she had money, she was going to give it to him. Oh thank you, see now I'm pregnant, I'm 11 months pregnant, just waiting for the baby to come out and stuff. And she was thirsty. So since she was thirsty, she started walking around the mountain and she found a shed. And let me read for you what she found in the shed. You remember Mrs. Adeolu, the pregnant customer who came to her salon and told her that she went to Prophet Josiah and that's how she got pregnant? In the shed, Prophet Josiah and Mrs. Adeolu were having sex. I could see her face. Her eyes were closed in what could have been ecstasy. The prophet's distinguishing chef, is it chef? Or chef? Cap was about to fall off. His robes were bunched up around his waist, exposing his... I feel like you need to read the rest of that on your own. I'm not trying to get copy striked. I'm not trying to spoil the story for anyone. But you can see. And that's what happens in churches today, in religious institutions. Yeah. Women who are struggling to have children, very likely because it's the husband's problem, are saying they were prayed for, but in reality they got pregnant through someone in church. A religious leader, choir leader, priest. You see, this type of things, they got prayed for by somebody in church. And that also makes me think about why the women in Nigeria really believe, even though they're not pregnant, even though they did not give birth, if they go to one of those hostels or whatever places where they're promised miracle pregnancies, they'll just be called, hello madam, today is your due date, you should come and get your baby. And they go there and they're given an injection and they're given somebody else's baby, and they'll be like, yeah, I gave birth to the baby, I was injected and suddenly there was a baby there, I gave birth to the baby. And they did not give birth to the baby. They can't even breastfeed. Nothing is going on. It makes me understand why these women really believe that those children are theirs, even though pregnancy tests were negative, even though they do paternity and maternity tests, the child does not belong to them. Even though the young girl who was taken advantage of and whose child was taken away from her comes and a test is done and it's proven that the child belongs to them. Desperation is as poisonous as hope. I'm not saying you should be hopeless. I'm not saying we should be hopeless. But I think desperation and hope, they're cousins or something. And if you're hopeful, you need to be careful with your hope. So you should read this book. You probably get pissed off. I did. This is not the copy I saw at Somanami because My friend recommended I read this book. The copy I saw at Somanami was orange, and it had it was a lady's dress that looked Ankara Kitenge-ish on the cover. And what I understood was that this is a story of a woman who struggles with pregnancy. So it's a story for women who are dealing with fertility issues, struggling to conceive, and pregnancy loss. However, when you read this book, that is not it. If you ask me, in this book, all I saw was how men get away with making a fool out of women. Yeah, how men get away by humiliating women. Yes. Next was what to do before buying African literature. Before you buy African literature, please read the reviews and find out if those reviews are by black people or white people. Find out if the editing team, the publishing team, are black people or white people. There's a reason why I'm lifting these two books, as I say that. They are suspects. These two books are suspects. I did not buy Love in Color, but I did buy Nudie Branch. What made me buy Nudie Branch? I bought Nudie Branch because one time I was just scrolling through Textbook Center online. I was buying some of Chimamanda's books. I was buying Dream Count and Purple Hibiscus, and it's not real. I think it's real should be feminists. But I know Purple Hibiscus and Dream Count are one of the books I was buying on Textbook Center. And as I was scrolling, I saw a book. It was at night and I was sleepy. I saw a book and I was like, I remember it was blue. I remember it was yellow. And I was like, I'm going to look for it in Textbook Center because I've already purchased these ones. So when I went to Textbook Center, I said, if I find a book that reminds me of what I saw at night, because I closed the tab and I couldn't remember anything about the book, aside from the fact that I did Google this title, I think it's the name of a fish. And I was like, if I find a book that's similar to that, I'll buy it. This is the only book. This was the only copy on the shelf in Textbook Center when I was just walking around. So I bought it. And the contents of this book, if you ask me, are only things that these people do. It's not us. This is not us. This is not us. Secondly, as I was reading oh my god. As I was reading the reviews in here, after I'd already read a few chapters in here, a few pages, maybe like 10-15 pages, I was like, what do these reviews say? Who are these people here? As a friend, I was like, oh my god. Because I actually thought, I bet the people who are reviewing here, most of the reviews, most of the stuff going on here is by white people. And I may be wrong because I've not Googled any of these guys, because editorial is someone called Charmaine Lovegrove, there is Sophia Schofer, there is Talia Proctor, contract Stephanie Cockburn, sales Andrew Katanak. Yes, none of these names sound like they belong to black people, at least predominantly black people. And I don't mean I need to see a name like the author's name here. So if you go buy a book and the reviews, the editorial team, the printing team, specifically African literature, does not sound like those are black people, I don't think you're going to like that book. As a black person, African, however you decide to view yourself, I don't think you will relate. I don't think you will appreciate the imagery. And I say that as someone who's read Freshwater by Akwaeke Emezi and who is going to get Little Rot. I like to keep my imagination limited. That's all I'll say about this book. Do I regret buying it? No, I don't regret buying it. But I like to keep my imagination limited. I'm not sure if I can continue reading it because the things that are going on in this book, oh my god. The things that are going on in this book, my first thought was, the contents of this book must be describing whatever was happening to African people during the slave trade, and especially when they were locked in those ships. Whatever is being described in this book sounds a lot like the documents we cannot get regarding our history, regarding the colonial era. I'll find time to read it. Now, this is the first book that made me think. Make sure the book you're reading, the reviews, the positive reviews specifically, are by people who look like you, not white people. I just have to say it, not white people. And I had very strong opinions about this book, specifically negatively. When I read the first story, I didn't even go past the first page. I didn't even finish the first paragraph on the first page, which the first page only has one paragraph, and it starts like somewhere over here. I didn't finish because I was like, I never bought this book. I borrowed it. Because, I'd see it on Instagram, on my Explore page and everywhere. And I'd be like, now that I've seen this book, can I borrow it? And then also they're like, yeah, take it. So I opened the book and I went to the chapters, and the chapter 1 was Oshun. So I was very excited because chapter 1 is Oshun, only for me to open. And then I read Oshun was used to being looked at in awe, whatever that second big word is. Lasciviously, whatever. Curiously. When I read that, I felt like that's not what I know about Oshun. I don't feel like Oshun is that way. I feel like Oshun is being misrepresented. So I tried reading. Instinctively, she knew when eyes were drawing across her, trying to figure out what they could from her figure. I tried reading and I felt like, oh my God, are we sexualizing Oshun now? Are we sexualizing Oshun? What are the reviews like on this book? Who is this author really? What's the editorial team like? And let me just read for you. Praise for Love in Color. We have Candice Cathy Williams, author of Queenie, Meg Cabot, Jessie Barton, Dorothy Coulson, Alexander Shepard. And I'm just like, yeah, I feel like this book was written for a white audience. That's what I thought. And I did film a video talking about everything I've mentioned here so far, but the video got corrupted and I was going to upload it. And I said in that video, I am open to criticism, you can hold me accountable, but exactly 1 week from the time you're seeing this video, at the same time, you're going to see my follow-up talking about this book, because I'm going to spend this whole week reading this book. And when my video got corrupted, I was like, you know what, it's an opportunity for me to just finish reading chapter 1 of this book, and then I can refilm the video. So I read chapter 1 of this book. My opinion has kind of changed. It's different as we go on to the next pages. It's very, very different. And I'll just read for you some things I'll just read for you some quotes I wrote down because I was feeling like, wow. In page 1, there's this line, as if it were the sea and she were the current itself. This is about Oshun when she's swimming, because she loved swimming, and she was in an academy called Ife Academy. In page 2, she was the body, the only body, vibrant and heavy breathing. I love that line. In page 4, Oshun knew she was all of them put together and more. Now, this is talking about Oshun and Sango. They had a relationship, but Sango kept on seeing many other girls, and she never had an issue with that because she knew those girls are nothing compared to her. They are all just different parts of her, but she's the whole thing, everything. And then page 8 reminded me of what I've said about desperation. Sometimes when you are hungry enough, you can will the ghost taste of sweet bread in your mouth. It will make you hungrier though, and emptier. And sometimes you won't know how truly bereft of food you are until it's too late. Desperation. And then in page 14. Now page 14, there is somebody else who comes in. He's called Erinle. And Erinle is, Oshun is a Yoruba goddess. Sango is a Yoruba god. Erinle is also a Yoruba deity. And then in page 14, Erinle says, because Oshun asks him, in what sense? And Erinle says, because Erinle is coming to woo her. He says, in the sense of a young man and a in the sense of a young man wondering about the woman who could be... What am I reading? In the sense of a young man wondering about the woman who could one day hold his heart. And I was like, wow, wow. When I was reading chapter 1, Oshun, honestly speaking, all the lines I've read here for you, I was translating them into my mother tongue, so they really did hit deep. And I actually even wrote wow here in my review. However, the story is sort of predictable. It seemed predictable to me, and I'll tell you why. And that means my attention span is good because I was reading and I was remembering past things. Let me open and tell you why. So Oshun is with Sango because, let me read for you. Through everything, the one thing that kept her tethered to Sango was that he saw her. And then "saw" is written in italics. And then one day, Oshun and her sister are at a festival, something related to her sister, some type of festival. And then Oshun is going for a walk and she sees by a river, or was it a water body, Sango has her arms around another girl. And like an hour or so before this, he had his arms wrapped around Oshun's waist. But she's not bothered. What bothered her was what Sango told the girl. The girl's name was Oba. He told her, "Do you know that Oshun does not like to dance?" And that really broke her heart because Oshun loved dancing and she always danced with her sister. Now let me tell you why I said this was very, very predictable. So Erinle starts singing and he's beating a drum and he said, "Oshun, oh Oshun, my beat is calling your waist. Won't you answer? Won't you answer? You look like a woman who loves to dance." When I read that part, I was like, wow, she's being seen. And then here at the end, there was lightning, but Oshun smiled outshone it. The lightning is by Sango because he's angry. Oshun was being looked at, but from this moment, she would become used to being seen. So yeah, in as much as I think this book is heavily edited, might appeal to a white audience more than Africans who know about Oshun and Sango and all the Yoruba deities. Yeah, that was nice. That was nice. Maybe don't judge a book by the cover. I think I'm still gonna judge it. I have many more chapters to read. That was nice. Let me end this part of the video here. I'm coming back another video before my video gets corrupted again. So to conclude this video, because I did not want the video to get corrupted and I'm towards the end, I was 24 minutes in and then my previous video got corrupted. This other one was like 22 minutes in and I was like, you know what? Let's end it and then start another one. So I will say this. If a book does not want you to read it, it will not let you read it. It doesn't matter if you've bought, it doesn't matter if you have the money for the book, it doesn't matter if you have access to a library, it doesn't matter if it's in your bag, if it's in your bookshelf. If a book does not want you to read it, it won't let you read it. And that's what I feel about this book, Love in Color. Personally, for myself, I feel like at the time I borrowed this book did not want me to read it. That's what I feel. I also still feel like in the beginning, Oshun was being misrepresented. I feel like Oshun was being sexualized, and I don't take back my original opinion, which is not on the internet. Okay, it might be on my Instagram, but it's not here. I feel like she was being over-sexualized, and I don't think that's who Oshun is. Oshun is actually the Yoruba goddess of love and fertility, and many other things you can Google. And then I want to read you a tweet by Ehime Ora on Twitter. The way Oshun finds you, especially when you are desperate not to look for her, the way she waits for you, the way she enters your heart with a foolish grin, and suddenly all your resentment and grief are washed away. That's the last thing I wrote. Literally, that's the last thing I wrote, because now I went to search what Ehime Ora and Goddess had to say about Oshun, and I came across that tweet. Mind you, in the beginning, I wrote, if a book doesn't want you to read it, it will not let you. I want to show you guys something. You may not be able to see it. But Nudie Branch, I was sick in the hospital and I carried Nudie Branch to read. And that was on the 24th of March. I was on the 24th of March and I even had some few notes here. And then today the 24th of April, and I'm doing this video. Literally, like when I was writing this, I was like, wow, that's interesting. Yes, I do carry a book around to write when I'm reading. So that's all the thought I had to share. I have a lot of thoughts. I'll probably still talk a lot. I'll probably still post videos about my thoughts or not. But these are the books. Let me do a thumbnail. Let me do a thumbnail. I'm barely going to edit these videos, by the way. I'm posting them as they are, even the times where I've spoken my own stuff. No, we need to see. Stay with me needs to be visible. Stay with me needs to be visible. So let's see. Yeah, that's it. Bye.